I'm Bob Riggio, and with me is Travis Ugland, a veteran living here in Rapid City. And Travis, correct me if I'm wrong. I mean, there's many veterans that have given sacrifice, that has sacrificed. Some sacrifice more than others. And the results of those sacrifices have carried over even when they have left the service. And I believe you have a story to tell us.
When I joined in 2000, I joined mostly for school money. We weren't in conflict with anyone at the time, so it seemed like a great way to get an education in electronics, which I was interested in at the time. And so I joined, finished my basic training in Fort Benning, Georgia, moved on to Redstone Arsenal in Alabama. I was there for the better part of a year doing some training for a land-based wire-guided missile systems repair technician. After completing that training, I was near September 11th when I was stationed at Fort Stewart, Georgia, when the towers were struck. That changed a lot of things. It took almost a full year after the attack before we actually mobilized, and the 3rd Mechanized Infantry Division, which I was stationed in, was first up to roll out. We were the first in the country. And actually my unit, when they prepared to leave, my bags were on the plane, we were leaving, and my command pulled me off the plane, and I, as a private, assumed I had some kind of a detail.
So you were on the plane and you were actually pulled off the plane as well?
Yes. Mm-hmm. Unbeknownst to me, I was actually being medically chaptered. I had torn up my knee months prior, and they had made the decision before we deployed to medically chapter me and send me home. I assumed I had some kind of detail, something I had to do as a private, so I was a private first class at the time, and so I didn't realize at the time that was the last time I'd see a lot of my friends. When you train, especially when you train for combat, which we did, we had several rotations through the National Training Center in California, and just our regular training locally in Savannah, Georgia. You get really close to people, and you realize when you train to fight together, doesn't matter their background, their ethnicity, it doesn't matter. Who's behind you they've got your back and you've got theirs. And that was actually the last time I saw them on the plane. I didn't realize that would be the last time I saw them for many, many years.
And what happened after that? And I'm sure you kept in touch with some of your friends over in Iraq at that time.
Actually, I didn't. There was no way to contact them at the time. Okay. That was, 2000, end of 2002 that we actually mobilized. And when we did so, we weren't using email very commonly. A lot of our friends, we knew what states they came from and their background because their personalities and their accents, sure. Mm-hmm. But we didn't have a lot of background on their families or how to track them down. We were just together all the time. And so when I came home at the end of 2003, I actually had no contact with anyone that I'd served with.
But you did learn that some of your friends were killed overseas.
I later found out that I actually had 7 brothers, battle buddies, that I actually had lost. Multiples to improvised explosive devices, a few to other accidents, and even one to suicide. It affected me in survivor guilt. I realized I would have been in the vehicle with any one of them at different times, and I realized they also had families and children, and I burdened myself a lot, and it was really heavy on my heart to realize that had I not been pulled off that plane, that they might be alive.
How did you work through that then? How did you work through that guilt?
It took a year and a half of counseling, medication, but just a lot of treatment to kind of work through some of that guilt and to realize that it didn't really change the outcome. And in that same time frame, actually, towards the end of my counseling, which is the reason I stopped going to counseling, was I was contacted by a few members that I served with. Some of my bad buddies actually reached out to me. And once I friended a few of them on Facebook, we had other common friends that we also served with, and I found the majority of my entire company, which was pretty amazing, even my old commander. And once I was able to reach out to them and I made contact, they all reassured me that I did the right thing and I was home with my family and that was where I was supposed to be. I only had one that I really struggled with, and he was very bitter. Insisted that members would be alive if I had been there.
And how are you doing right now?
Doing amazing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yep.
Got the smile.
Yeah, yeah. Actually, probably the happiest and healthiest I've ever been in my life. Doing good things for myself, and the Black Hills VA has been amazing part of that. That they've always been at my back anytime I've ever needed any kind of assistance or help, whether that be for counseling for mental health, whether that was for physical health.
Yeah.
They've always had my back and been taking really good care of me. I just attended the 9th annual Sergeant Colton Levi Deer Foundation Gala, and they shared a message of hope for those struggling with depression and anxiety, depression, PTSD, and also traumatic brain injuries. And that renewed vision of hope needs to be shared.
And it's out there. There is help out there. Travis, thank you so much for spending some time with us. I really appreciate it.